All right. It's your favorite political innovator here, David Washington. And I am back with our final installment of Battlefield Correspondent, the 2025 Mid-Decennial Redistricting Advisory Committee episodes. I guess. Wow. We're finally come to an end in regards to the episodes. I got my notes here because there's a lot of stuff to cover. We wrapped up, what was it, a couple of weeks ago? And there was a lot of conversation after the committee wrapped up. Today, September 16th, the two maps that were approved by the advisory committee, were submitted to the Orange County Board of Commissioners and the mayor. And they had discussions, frustrating meeting. They had discussions this afternoon. However, it won't be until mid-October that they will revisit the issue of these maps and perhaps have a vote. They have until the beginning of November to come to a decision. Today, there was a lot of discussion about a little nip and tuck, moving some lines, some census tracts. It was just kind of, after all the conversation and participation by three of the sitting commissioners at our meetings, and interference and innuendo and accusations, you would think that at least two of them would have their act together and would make a decision already. But that's either here or there. And let's just get back to just the whole process. And for those of you who have followed me on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and a little bit on LinkedIn in regards to the Mid-Decennial Redistricting Advisory Committee, thank you. I hope you found this information useful. And again, I was hoping for the civic engagement by members of our community, and I saw it. And I am very proud of our community. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But first, I'm going to say some thank yous. And first and foremost, in regards to civic engagement, of course, I'm going to go straight back to the community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your support of the advisory committee. Thank you for coming out to the different district meetings, to the meetings downtown Orlando. Thank you for participating and exercising your civic responsibility. Phenomenal. From the young to the mature, people from across the district. People from across the county coming out and giving their opinion as to what they would like to see from a new county commissioner map. And remember, this amendment to our county charter was approved, this particular amendment, to create 8 new districts out of the 6 current districts. So 2 additional districts, change things up. This was narrowly approved by those individuals who voted for the amendment. Barely, just barely 50% of the voters who voted on this particular amendment approved it to move forward, thus causing the Mid-Decennial Redistricting Advisory Committee to be formed and the decisions to move forward with 2 recommendations for a new county commissioner map. So again, voters, citizens, residents, thank you, community. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming out to participate in this process. I also want to thank Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero for appointing me to this important committee. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. My team appreciate it. It was an opportunity for them to come together and create various maps that I can review and submit to the committee. And we were fortunate enough to have one of the maps move forward in the process, that it was one of the last 7 that was up for discussion. So, Commissioner Gomez Cordero, again, thank you on behalf of the J. Washington team. We appreciate it that you thought about us, that you thought about me personally to represent District 4. I spent a great deal of time in District 4 for various reasons. During the summer, I spent a lot of time in District 4. It's my second home. And so sometimes it's my first home. So again, thank you for the opportunity for Jane Washington to come together and put together maps that were received by the committee, by the community, discussed, and negotiated and compromised and all that good stuff that goes into, honest and transparent conversation. And we really appreciate the effort. I also want to thank the fellow members of the committee, a great group of individuals. However, there is a special message I do have for Bobby O, member Bobby O, Commissioner Bobby O of Winter Garden. And please stick around towards the end for that. Regardless, again, thank you to my fellow committee members. Thank you to Tico Perez and Camille Evans, the co-chair. Learned a lot about this whole process. Thank you for, walking me through this process along with the other members of this committee. And it was a joy working with the two of you, getting to know the two of you. Hopefully we'll stay in touch. Tico, I'll see you out there on the battlefield of campaigns. And Camille, I hope to see you in the future, maybe around Orange County government, or maybe not. And also to the rest of the members of our committee. It was great working with you all, getting to know a little bit more about each and every one of you. Yes, I got cases on all of you. That's what we do. Again, my Puerto Rican political godfather, Jimmy Afine, being on that committee. Again, I really enjoyed learning again the whole process with you. And my fellow committee member from District 4, Rishi Baga. It was great seeing you again. God bless you and your family. And again, Erica, great seeing you. Eric Smith, Bobby O, Mayor Kishheimer, Angel de la Portilla, awesome. Mark Reyes, and my new friend, Tom Callan, great sitting next to you and learning a lot about you. Again, Coy, it was great seeing you and talking with you and sharing this committee time with you. Gordon, Alejandro, hope to stay in touch with you more, Alejandro. Jason, this was a great experience. And again, to the staff, the wonderful staff who made sure I ate and took care of me and kept me in the loop, from Ms. Levon to Attorney White to Scott, to Vivian, to Miss Jenny. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. So there's my thank yous, and to everyone, God bless. So the process. Let me talk to you about the process. So, a lot of innuendo and conversation was going on about, how maps were made and who was behind creating the maps. And I kind of gave the committee and the public a little taste of what J&W is capable of doing. With the technology, with the network that we have, the team putting it all together. and creating, particularly for Washington 2 map, creating a buzz in the community that was pretty much a reflection of the conversations that we were listening to legally, that we were watching legally, that spurned the community to get together and come out and support a map that was forward looking, future forward. And unfortunately, there were some members of the Board of County Commissioners who just weren't seeing that, and members of the Democratic Party who just weren't seeing that this was an opportunity that was, forward looking, that was a map that truly stripped away the perceptions that things had to be the same. And I really appreciate the team coming together, using the resources and tools that were made available to us through our relationships in the community with our business partners, the enhanced intelligence tools that is going to transform politics as we know it. It's doing it right now. It did in the Washington 2 map. And there's more. And this is a promo for, Jay Washington. The tools that we have available to us, we in creating these maps and in understanding the conversations that were being had prior to this process, prior to 2024, going back to the last redistricting advisory committee, and scrubbing those meeting notes and videos and putting it all together, Notebook LM, and putting it all together is freaking phenomenal. And that's what you should expect from your political innovators here at JNW. I am so excited. I gotta tamp it down, because I don't want to give away too much. However, the game has definitely changed, and I do want to say it's unfortunate that the two maps that move forward to the county commission, they're pretty much one and the same, with some variations, some deviations on the peripheral of some of the districts, but for the most part, they're the same. And to be honest, with the three commissioners who showed up at the meetings on a regular basis, and I'm not talking about District 6, but who actually made it clear that they wanted one map or had certain demographics or parameters that they wanted to see in one map over another, they should have come to a decision already in regards to, where we're going with the maps for a final vote from the BCC. I mean, really, it's not rocket science, and it shouldn't be treated that way. And speaking of rocket science, I do want to say that as a political and everyone involved, because many of the faces that were giving public comment, I know you. I know you. I've seen you before. I've seen your past performances. I've seen your current performances as former elected officials or politicals in the wild, aides to elected officials and so forth and so on, or party officials, or on the peripheral of politics. I've seen you. I've talked to you. I know you. And so the perception inside the commissioner's chamber is completely different than the reality outside of the commissioner's chambers, because you could probably walk outside the chambers during one of our meetings, walk up to security at the front door and ask that individual or individuals, do you know what district you live in? If they live in Orange County, most likely they do not. If you ask them, do you know who your county commissioner is? Or even the Orange County mayor? Most likely they do not. If you walk outside and walk up the street and just pull someone off the street and ask them, who's your county commissioner? If they live in Orange County, they most likely do not know who their county commissioner is, nor do they know who their district that they live in. That's the reality that's out there. And when we talk about communities of common interests and things like that, it does exist to some extent. Sure, it does. However, I'm not having barbecues with my neighbors as the perception that is given. I'm not having picnics with them. I live in, a nice neighborhood, and I once lived in Lockhart. I still don't understand the point that was being made about Lockhart being in District 2. I used to live there, and I don't understand. So Mayor Kirchheimer, Commissioner Moore, okay, I guess Lockhart is special to you. It was okay for me, but I lived there. But the so-called community of interest, common interest, and things like that, okay, sure, yeah, you'll find that in pockets. But I can tell you, again, I spent a great deal of time in the southern part of Orange County this past summer and spring. I waved to the people that I know there and talk to them on occasion. However, it's not like the communities that are depicted in Leave the Beaver or something like that. That doesn't exist anymore. There's approximately 1,000 new residents moving to Orange County every week. It's growing. Neighborhoods are changing. They're gentrifying. They're diversifying. It's one of the fastest growing counties for the past decade. So the conversation about, this community has a long history as this, or this community has a long history of that, that's history. We're in the present, and we have to be forward thinking, because Orange County is not the same Orange County as when I came here 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. So I just want to make that very clear that the reality outside of the chambers, outside of these meetings, is completely different than what's being told to us by our leaders, by certain community representatives. Some folks are more engaged than others, but the vast majority of us, they don't even know there's an election coming up for Orlando City in a couple of months. We just recently had, and I made this very clear, and again, congratulations to Senator-elect LaVon Bracey Davis and Representative Rashawn Young, Representative-elect Rashawn Young. Their special election occurred earlier in September. Less than 9% turnout. So I'll just leave that right there. I'm looking at my notes here, and I want to talk a little bit. I've already said it, some about the today's commissioners meeting regarding the introduction of the two maps. The commissioners were well aware of what was going on. We saw a consistent presence by the commissioners from District 1, District 3, District 5, and District 6. I am very, very, very much aware that the commissioners from District 2 and District 4 were well aware of what was going on a weekly basis. And of course, the mayor is all-knowing. Governor, did I let that slip? Governor Dimmings? uh, he'll make that announcement soon enough. However, Mayor Jerry Demings, of course, is all knowing, is very much aware of what's going on. And I'm disappointed that there wasn't a better consensus about which map was being favored. And I'm hoping in the October 16th or 17th meeting, I think the mayor said, when they revisit this, it's going to be a freaking month, revisit this, and hopefully they'll vote on the map. And it looks like, it's the consensus is leaning towards map 1A, created by my friend Jimmy Afant and the Democrats. Wink, wink. However, we'll see what the decision is. Again, I want to say this is not over, because now it's incumbent upon the representatives from the community who came and spoke on behalf of the maps that they supported. Now it's incumbent upon them to go out to their communities that they represent and encourage residents, citizens who are eligible to vote, to be involved, to educate themselves. Again, unfortunately, in the special election this fall, early fall, or I guess fall doesn't start until the 22nd of February. However, the election in early part of September, September 2nd or 3rd, it was very disappointing with everything at stake. With these, advisory committee meetings occurring, I was hoping for greater involvement by the voters in turnout. And I was sadly disappointed, incredibly disappointed. And I'm hoping that this redistricting effort will inspire people, to encourage their neighbors, their friends, their families to be involved in the next round of voting. And it looks like it will be the municipal elections. Well, actually, the Orlando City election in November, maybe December, depending on if there's a runoff in any one of the districts. And then, of course, you have the municipal elections in March of next year. And then, of course, you have the primary election in August of next year, 2026. And then, of course, you have the general election, the midterm election in November of 2026. So engage, persuade, motivate, get out there and do your civic responsibility, obligations, engage. All right. And I talked about, the reality versus what happens within the commissioners' chambers. What happens in the chambers is sometimes different than what the reality is that people want the commissioners to focus on. Again, there are representatives. We vote for them to represent the interests of all of Orange County, not just their individual districts, but all of Orange County. And they've got some tough decisions ahead of them. You've got the Florida Doge audits going on. You've got the issue with the temple in District 1 going on. The expansion of the Jewish temple out there. You have growth issues out east. Wedgefield did not get the assistance from the state for their water treatment. You've got a change in funding for various programs. The county is on the hook for what? 220 million. I can't remember, but I do remember, $200 million, approximately $200 million that the chief financial officer, Blaise Ngolia, has said that could be used for better things than what it's being used for now. So there's a lot going on that the county commission and the mayor has to deal with. And, we'll say a prayer for them. And then I guess in closing, I've gone through my notes here. In closing, a special message for my fellow committee member, advisory committee member, Bobby Oshesky, Bobby O, former commissioner of Winter Garden, and also former representative, state representative from District 44. Bobby O, you came to me just before our last meeting, and you and this was before the meeting inside the side room where we were having dinner in front of those members who were there, and you apologized for I think some of the things that you had said or whatever, and that it wasn't personal. And Bobby, I just want to say that was a class act. You, sir, are a gentleman. And that was the best conversation I've had with you. We've had conversations in the past. You may remember, you may not remember. And one conversation we had, it was during an election. I think it was for House District 44. There was a debate at the Psoriasis Center there in Colonial North or somewhere, Formosa Heights. I can't remember the name of the neighborhood, but it was here in downtown, near downtown Orlando. And afterwards, you came up to me, and you were very sincere and honest, and you said to me, David, I was like, yes. How do I talk to Black people? And I was kind of taken aback. It's like, well, Black people are people too. However, we had a really good conversation that day, and it was earnest, it was genuine, and I appreciate the fact that you came to me and were confident to ask me that question and willing to listen. And I will always remember that. And I enjoyed watching you debate on this committee and making the stance. And although I did not agree with your point of view and some of the things that you brought up, I do appreciate you. And I do hope that there are many more conversations that are respectful and tactful and genuine, not just between you and I. However, with everyone in the political space. And I say that because in these times, we need to see one another for who we are, not Republicans or non-party affiliates or Democrats or anything else on the political spectrum, whether LGBTQ or heterosexual, a mom or a dad. We need to see one another for who we are as human beings, as Americans, as citizens who want the best for our communities. And Bobby O, I really appreciate the fact that we've had that conversation and that you and I shook hands and we left as friends. So, saying that, I want to thank everyone for your support, your honest conversation with me during this whole process. It was very enjoyable. My fiance just walked in, so I need to get off this camera and spend a little time with her and have a conversation with her, because this was a long process, spring into summer, and I neglected my duties as a good man, and I need to rectify that. So this is David Washington for now, until our next, whatever issue it is, probably the next election, maybe the Orlando election. We'll bring back Battlefield Correspondent, and I'll be here, your favorite political innovator, David Washington. Thank you so much. We'll see you the next time. Signing off for the last time for for Battlefield Correspondent, the Mid-Decennial Advisory Committee, Redistricting Advisory Committee for 2025 here in Orange County. We'll see you the next time. Please like, share, hit the notification button, and again, comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And again, share this with your friends and family, those influencers that you know, those politicals and candidates that you think will, be encouraged to be better electeds, better levers of authority in our society, in our communities. All right, I'm out of here. Daisy's standing here. I gotta go. Good night, everyone.